Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused? Not because the topic was complex, but because somehow your version of reality was suddenly questionable. Someone said something, you responded, and then they looked at you like you were the one who was wrong, like your memory failed, like your perception was unreliable. And later, alone, you found yourself wondering, did that really happen? Am I overreacting? Maybe they're right. Here's what's actually happening. Someone is rewriting your reality, and you don't notice because they've trained you to doubt yourself. This isn't paranoia, it's psychology. And today we're going to break down exactly how this manipulation works and how Stoic philosophy gives you the tools to dismantle it. Let's start with the term you've probably heard, gaslighting. But what most people don't understand is that gaslighting isn't just lying. It's a systematic process of eroding your confidence in your own perception. The word comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, where a husband slowly convinces his wife that she's going insane by dimming the gaslights and then denying that anything changed. But in real life, gaslighting is much more subtle. It happens in small moments. You're too sensitive. That's not what I meant. You're remembering it wrong. I never said that. Each statement is a tiny cut. Alone, each one is dismissible. But over time, these cuts accumulate. And what you're left with is a person who no longer trusts their own mind. From a dark psychology perspective, this is one of the most effective control tactics. Because once you control what someone believes about reality, you control everything. The manipulator doesn't need to force you to do anything. They just need you to doubt yourself enough that you stop trusting your own judgment. And then you become dependent on them for your version of reality. Here's the unsettling truth. Gaslighting works best on intelligent, self-aware people. Why? Because intelligent people are trained to question themselves. You've learned to consider alternative perspectives. You've learned that you might be wrong. These are valuable traits, but they become vulnerabilities when weaponized. The manipulator exploits your humility. Every time you consider that maybe they're right, you reinforce their control. And here's where it gets darker. The manipulator often believes their own version of events. This isn't always a calculated conspiracy. Sometimes it's a mind that cannot tolerate being wrong. So it rewrites reality to protect itself. You're not dealing with someone who's lying. You're dealing with someone whose survival depends on you doubting yourself. The Stoics understood this dynamic 2,000 years ago. Seneca wrote about people who cannot bear the weight of truth and instead bend reality to match their comfort. He warned that engaging with such people on their terms is a trap, because they don't play by the rules of logic. They play by the rules of emotional survival. So how do you defend yourself against something that attacks your perception at its root? The Stoics offer a surprisingly simple answer. You must reclaim your prohairesis, your faculty of judgment. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher, made a radical distinction. He said that some things are within your control and some things are not. Your reputation? Not in your control. What others say about you? Not in your control. What they believe? Not in your control. But your judgment about what is true? Your perception of reality? Your ability to say, this is what I experienced. That is entirely within your control. Gaslighting works because it attacks the boundary between what is yours and what is theirs. The manipulator wants you to believe that your perception is not yours, that it belongs to them, to be corrected, to be dismissed. The Stoic response is to draw a line. You say, this is my perception. I trust it. You may disagree. You may believe something else. But my experience of reality is not up for negotiation. Notice what this doesn't require. You don't need them to agree. You don't need to prove you're right. You simply refuse to let them be the authority on your internal world. Let's get practical. How do you actually do this in real time, in the middle of a conversation? First, name what's happening to yourself. In the moment, when you feel that familiar confusion creeping in, pause. Say to yourself, I am experiencing an attempt to change my perception. Just naming it breaks the spell. It separates you from the experience. You're no longer lost in it. You're observing it. Second, don't engage with the content. Engage with the pattern. Gaslighters want to debate the facts. Did you say that? Did they say that? Who's remembering correctly? Don't go there. Instead, Shift to the meta level. Say, I notice we have different memories of this. I trust mine. That's it. You don't need to convince them. You just need to not be convinced. Third, create a reality journal. This is a Stoic practice. After conversations that leave you confused, write down what happened. Not what they said happened, what you experienced. Over time, this journal becomes your anchor. When doubt creeps in, you have evidence. You have your own testimony. Seneca called this being your own witness. He said that the person who can testify to their own experience is the person who cannot be manipulated. Let's return to where we started. That feeling of confusion after a conversation. That quiet voice asking, am I overreacting? Here's the truth. Your perception is yours. It belongs to you. No one else gets to edit it. No one else gets to dismiss it. Gaslighting works because it makes you abandon yourself. The Stoic path is to return to yourself, to trust your own judgment, to stand firm in your own experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That power over your mind includes the power to trust what you see, to trust what you feel, to know that your perception is valid, even when someone else claims otherwise. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to win arguments. You just need to stop letting them be the author of your reality. Because the moment you reclaim your perception, the manipulation loses its grip, and that is freedom.